Namaskar. On the auspicious occasion of the International Yoga Day, it is my great honor and privilege to share some insights on this very ancient practice, very mysterious practice of Kundalini Yoga. Historically speaking, this special form of yoga practice, with its intricate techniques developed independently, perhaps even parallel to the yoga tradition of Patanjali. I would say that almost all major religious faiths in India, the Shaivas, the Shaktas, the Vaishnavas, the Siddha tradition in South India, the Sahajya cult of West Bengal, the Hatha yoga traditions, and the Kaula tradition of non-dualist Tantra in Kashmir have adopted techniques of Kundalini Yoga. Modern research has brought to light that our body's electromagnetic fields reveal the subtle human faculties beyond the five senses. The modern techniques of etheric aura reading, meditation on chakras of psychic realization are aligned to the energy patterns and rhythm of nature, and it is this union that the adepts of Kundalini Yoga seek. The highest goal of Kundalini Yoga, of course, is to attain liberation in this life, known in our literature as Jivan Mukta, and to transcend all forms of fragmentation of mind, body and spirit, to unify and harmonize the physical, the psychic and the cosmic levels of existence, to attain a state of union with the universal consciousness. At a more mundane level, it is to awaken psychic development and spiritual advancement. There has been a widespread growing interest today in spiritual therapies for health and for consciousness expanding spiritual experiences. The techniques of Kundalini Yoga are more relevant today than ever before. There is yet another reason why this ancient knowledge should be reclaimed today. The ancient knowledge of Kundalini Yoga can be integrated and applied to modern yogic forms of healing therapies for the benefit of humanity. What is Kundalini Yoga? This is a question which comes up again and again in today's world. And this question is better understood when we juxtapose it in relation to how science sees the body. In the dominant view of modern science, the human body is conceptualized as a physical entity of complex series of biochemical processes. For centuries, this materialistic view stands challenged by the tantric and yogic cultures of Asia. These cultures view the whole person or the self as a complex, multi-layered, indivisible subset of a vast cosmocentric web of physical, psychic and cosmic system of relations, envisioned as one integral whole. Hindu and Buddhist tantras have a very well-defined conception of the divine body. They believed in the absolute immutability of the divine body of perfect enlightenment. There is, they believe, in addition to the gross and material body given to decay and death, an etheric double. And this etheric double is known variously as Sukshma Sharira, translated as subtle body, Divya Deha, divine body, or Siddha Deha, or a body which has reached perfection. And this body is unfolded, it is tamed, it is energized through different practices and sublimated during an arduous process of Tantric Kundalini Yoga for the attainment of unity of consciousness. There is something very unique about the subtle body which we need to understand. This subtle body is free from defilement and outside the realm of spatio-temporal matrix of the cosmos. This subtle body acts as a purified dynamic powerhouse or a vessel for the embodiment of even ever subtler planes of cosmic consciousness, identified with the universal unity of the male and female principle defined in the Tantras as Shiva and Shakti. The Tantras believe that the awakening of the divine potency of the subtle body does not merely lead to acquisition of siddhis or spiritual powers. it has the capacity to slowly transform the very substance and chemistry of the body. The Tantras and the medieval Yoga Upanishads and many other texts that we find even from the Hatha Yoga traditions have developed a very systematic model of the macro-micro theory of body cosmos. Alternative maps of subtle body embodying the cosmos are described vividly in the literature of the Tantras. The Shiva Sutra, for instance, says that we do not experience our consciousness as external to our body, like an outer garment, for instance, for it contributes to and is indeed the most intimate experience of the universe. The corporeal, the psychic mechanisms of the mind and the cosmic are interrelated. The separation between these three realms is the root cause of physical and psychic disorders. So here what we have is an all-inclusive vision of the self, a vision which is very different from the way modern science sees our mind-body relationships. As the subtle body is looked upon as a miniature cosmos, the structure of the microcosmic body is homologized with the ontological principles that characterize the macrocosmic worldview of Tantra. The universe is composed of the union of two contrasting complementary principles. The first principle is Shiva and the second principle is Shakti. Shiva is the masculine principle. He is the embodiment of pure consciousness and sometimes described in the Tantras as the silent seer of creation. Shakti, his consort, is the feminine principle, the activating power of material world and the energy permeating throughout creation. Shakti is a personification of cosmic energy and represents all forms of energy known to us. She exists in matter, in thermal energy, in gravitational energy. Even there are subtler forms, and maybe there are levels of energy which even modern science has not yet discovered. So Tantrics would call that energy Kundalini Shakti. And this Kundalini Shakti is found everywhere. From the tiniest atom to the star, galactic star, the whole universe permeates with this Shakti called Kundalini Shakti. The Shakti principle of the cosmos in the subtle body is personified as Devi, or the goddess, the great goddess Kundalini. Kundalini literally translates as the coiled one. She is conceived of as an infinite reservoir of power. And in the texts such as Sri Tattva Chintamani and many other Hatha Yoga texts, there are beautiful descriptions of the Kundalini Shakti. She is sometimes called the Sutra Atma, the golden thread that unites. Sometimes she is known as Chit Shakti, the Shakti of consciousness and cosmic intelligence that pervades throughout the universe. She is beautiful as a chain of lightning and fine as a lotus fiber. And she shines in the minds of the sages. She is extremely subtle, the awakener of pure knowledge, the embodiment of bliss, whose true nature is pure consciousness. And there are many such verses that define Kundalini. In the latent state, she is visualized as a sleeping serpent. It lies coiled in 3.5 circles around the central axis at the base of the spine, in the Mooladhara or the root support chakra located between the anus and genitals. Resting, the Kundalini Shakti is subtle as a fine fiber of lotus stalk and bright as lightning flash. The microcosm, according to this tradition, is something akin to an electric battery in which this cosmic power latently lies. When the power is not orderly channelized, it either withers away, in most cases it just disappears, or has limited expression. In the generic sense, Kundalini is the energy that lies at the root of all creation. She is the origin of all powers, all strengths, and all forms of life that this universe may assume. In a more specific sense, Kundalini in the microcosm is the source of two most vital currents that govern life. The first is, of course, prana. So, prana is a vital energy which exists in us as breath, as life force, as a source of all life. And at death, the source of prana gets extinguished, it gets extracted from the body in one sense. The second is virya or ojas, virile potency, which inspires every kind of creative act and mystic unfolding. The inner map of microcosm consists of 7 chakras symbolized as lotuses. The yoga texts speak of 72,000 subtle nadis of the yogi. If we could view them, the human body would appear as a map of vibrating oceanic currents. The 3 principal channels in the microcosm are the solar channel, Pingala, which is linked to the sun, energy of the sun, exists in the right side, and then you have the Ida, the lunar channel, which is on the left side of the central channel called the Sushumna. The 7 chakras have been described as jewels strung on the Sushumna. Now these chakras are spaced along the vertical axis of the subtle body that corresponds to the line of the spinal column from its base up to the crown of the head. The 7 chakras are major points of power in the subtle body, and they function as yantras, as diagrams for inner meditative experience of Kundalini Yoga. They are visualized as geometrical figures or as wheels or lotuses. They are spaced on the vertical axis of the subtle body. The Sushumna, which corresponds roughly to the spinal column and brain, these chakras embrace the entire psychocosmos. Each of them is associated with a mantra, and it is usually a bija mantra or a sound vibration, is linked with an element, has a particular color, is presided over by gods and deities, has an animal symbol, and symbolizes the categories of the cosmos. The first chakra, known as the Mooladhara chakra, is situated at the base of the spine. It is a gathering point of energy of the psychic body. Its symbols are a square with an inverted triangle. In the center of this yantra is a snake symbol of the latent microcosmic form of energy, Devi Kundalini, coiled around a linga emblem. The element earth governs it, and its seed mantra is Lam. The second, just above it, is the Swadhisthana, which lies behind the genitals. It is colored vermilion. Its form is a circle with 6 petals containing a white crescent moon, and in the center is inscribed its seed mantra Vam. The third Manipur chakra is the navel center governed by the element fire. It is visualized as a lotus of 10 petals, and its seed mantra is Am. The fourth, Anahata chakra, is located in the level of the heart, which is conceived as lotus of 12 petals. The Anahata is a seat of air element, and its seed mantra is Yam. The fifth is known as Vishuddhi and is situated at the level of throat. It is of smoky purple hue. Its symbol is a 16-petal lotus, and it's represented by a circle. Its seed mantra is Hum. And as we move upwards, we come to the 6th chakra, Agya. It's located between the eyebrows and commands the various levels of meditation. Its symbol is a circle with 2 petals and an inverted triangle containing a linga emblem. Its seed mantra is the primal vibration Om. The 7th, the highest, is the Sahasrara chakra, the 1000-petal lotus. This chakra represents the apex of yogic meditation. It is the seat of absolute principles Shiva and Shakti. It is also known as Shivasthana. It is represented by an inverted lotus of 1000 petals that symbolically showers the subtle body with spiritual radiance. The Sahasrara neutralizes all colors, all sounds, all images, all dualities, physical, social, cosmic, and is represented as colorless. Shiva and Shakti. They are located at two diametrically opposite points. Shakti, as Devi Kundalini, resides at the base of the spine, and Shiva in the crown, united by the central axis of the body cosmos. In her journey, the Kundalini Shakti ascends like a fiery serpent, breaking through the chakras. And what she does is she unties psychic blockages. And according to the text, there are as many as 3 major blockages lying at the base of the spine, heart center, and in the Agya center. The yogic journey to superconsciousness has 2 specific phases. So first, the yogi tries to awaken the energy and let it ascend. And then after it has united with Shiva in the crown of the head, the reverse journey begins. It is stated in the Devi Gita that when Kundalini awakens, she shines brilliantly in her ascent, and she appears like nectar in her descent. That is, once the union of Shiva and Shakti has taken place, there is a shower of nectar, or a symbolic shower of nectar, or there is a transformation of body chemicals, and the yogi actually has the taste of that shower in his subtle body. In the reverse journey, the Kundalini Shakti is brought back to its original resting ground, to the root center at the base of the spine. In her descent, the new divine body is recreated. The energy now reverses her movement and empowers the chakra that lie on her path with ambrosial nectar, which is distilled from the union of Shiva and Shakti. In other words, it's the energy of the sun and moon which is brought together. While the place of the sun, according to the symbology of this tradition, is in the heart, the place of the moon is in the crown of the head. When the awakened Kundalini rises through the median channel, she pierces the 6 chakras, rents asunder the knots, and harmonizes the dual energies that divide the mind from pure consciousness. She purifies the chakras, sharpens and empowers them with divine power. As the corresponding centers are awakened, the Kundalini spreads and saturates the whole body in the form of ultra subtle pranic energy. One may then experience involuntary movements of the body, such as shaking of the arm and leg. One may recoil into a conscious state of trance sleep, yoga nidra, or plunge into a state of mystical whirling, or be overtaken by a flood of compassion. One may spontaneously then assume various kinds of postures and gestures. And according to one of the theories, all the asanas and mudras that we find were perhaps originated from some kind of an experience of energy expanding itself. A striking feature of the Shaiva and Shakta tradition is that the state of Samadhi is looked upon as a state of active awareness, where the yogi is meant to experience expansion of consciousness. And again, after having experienced the expansion of consciousness, he begins to shower that energy on all that is around him. So this is the blissful state described in Tantric literature as Sat Chit Ananda. This state of Sat Chit Ananda, of course, there is so much literature on it. Poets have sung about it. Sages have described it in their autobiographies. You find lengthy descriptions. I'm interested in just quoting one beautiful passage from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, which reads like this: when there is duality, one sees another, one smells another, one tastes another, one speaks to another, one hears another, one touches another, one understands another. But where everything has become one, everything is identified with one's own self, then who can be seen by what? Who can be smelt by what? Who can be tasted by what? Who can speak to what? Who can think of what? Who can touch what? Many poets have described the state of ecstasy who have gone through the discipline. Pattinattar, the Tamil tantric poet, expresses the joy of realization. And he writes, the Eightfold Yoga, the 6 chakras of the body, the 5 senses, they all have left and gone, totally erased, and in the open void I'm left. There is but a red rounded moon, a fountain of white milk for delight. The unobtainable bliss has engulfed me, a precipice of light. Thank you.
कुण्डलिनी आरोहणम्